Hello there, fellow nerds, and welcome to the day we've all been waiting for, May 13th, the lucky Christmas in May for us Shatterpoint players. The 2025 unit update document is here, and it is very large and lots of things getting tweaked, mostly small tweaks, but to many things. So this video is going to go over each of the changes that's in the document. You'll see I have some notes on the left with some reference images of kind of the original, but I've tried to jot down some notes of what changed to kind of keep this concise and make sure that I don't miss anything and I don't have to search the whole card for every little change. So hopefully I've done that well enough already, and so let's get started. And it starts with the 501st, and so they're being bumped up from 7 health or stamina to 8, which happens on a few of our clones here, but we're also getting improvement to their ranged expertise, quite significantly, really. Getting the crit on 1, crit and hit on 3, instead of just a hit on 1 to 3 and a crit on 4. And then melee, we're getting another step at 3+ that gives us 2 hits. So a nice improvement there. We're also getting another damage point on step 1 instead of just being a pin. So all welcome upgrades on the 501st. The next, again, core box character, we're getting Ahsoka, and she's got quite a few things changing here. Top 3, that's all the same, but we're adding an innate ability, which is, you'll find I have many qualities for you to dislike. While this unit is not wounded, characters in this unit and allied characters within range 2 add an expertise to their defense rolls. So whenever we have an ability like this, the expertise does actually get added. It's a modifier, so and expose removes expertise results from the roll. So this expertise will actually get through even for exposed units. So that is nice defensive buff for her and her friends that are close by. Next, we get an update to her innate or identity, her revenge trigger here for Fierce Protector. When another allied unit is wounded by an enemy attack, after the effect is resolved, choose a character in this unit. The chosen character may heal 3 times or recover 3 times. Then the chosen character may advance or jump, and then may make a attack targeting the enemy character that caused the effect. So a few things changing here. One is actually that the allied unit has to be wounded by an enemy attack. It's not, it used to be just when they become wounded. So that's a slight downgrade there. But we're getting the upgrade of the fact that she can heal first and then either advance or jump and make a full melee attack rather than a 5 dice attack, which was one of the options instead of just getting it, because before she had to do an advance and then she had to have moved also in order to get either the heals or the 5 dice attack. So now she's getting the heals. That's going to help her get rid of any pins or strains. She can advance or jump, so that'll help her with elevation, and then a full attack. So either 7 or 6, depending on her stance. So pretty good upgrade there, even though it may be still slightly avoidable due to having to be an attack rather than just any effect, but we know how that goes with Kanan. Next we have, so Jarkai, the tree itself hasn't changed, or the dice, defense staying the same, but we're getting an upgrade to our attack expertise. We're getting a crit and a hit on 1 and 2 instead of 2 hits, 2 crits on 3, and then the 3 crits on 4 instead of 5. So nice little buff there. We're actually losing a defense die for ranged attacks on reverse grip. The tree is remaining the same, but then again, crit and hit on 1 and 2, 2 crits on 3, 2 crits and a hit on 4 instead of 5. So just that slight upgrade to the expertise, so hopefully being easier to reach those second levels and third levels on that. So nice buff for Ahsoka. Asajj. Now, again, a couple things going on here. We've got Slipaway actually changing to Swift Retreat, which I'll get to later, but that ability itself is actually changing. But anyway, she's getting Swift Retreat, which now is when a character in this unit would advance, it may instead reposition. So she's not going to be locked down by engagement. So that adds some mobility, which is nice. And then Sith Assassin, her identity. So this is becoming a little more stepwise. It was when a character in this unit wounds an enemy unit after the effect is resolved, that character may heal 3. If it wounded a primary or secondary, it may also advance or jump. If it wounded a primary, it may refresh 2. So that's been split up a bit. So when a character in this unit wounds an enemy unit after the effect is resolved, no matter what, you refresh 1 force. Then if it wounded primary or secondary unit, it may reposition or jump. So that's fairly similar, just that advance is being turned into a reposition. If it wounded a primary unit, then you're getting still that second refresh. So we're losing the heals, but getting a refresh no matter what instead, which is nice because she is a fairly force hungry unit in her original form. So maybe this will help out a little bit with that, make it easier to get some of that force back at least. Moving on to her trees, for actually adding a spot to Makashi here. So at the end, she loses her active, actually. Everything else is staying, well, no. Oh yeah, there's been quite a shuffle here. So shove on 1, heal on step 2 going down. So those have swapped. Then we're adding a damage to the 3rd spot on the lowest track. The top track, well yeah, top track step 4 also getting another damage. And then the active step 4 in the middle is turning from heals to active ability, or from active ability to heals rather. And then 3 damage on the end of the tree. So that's now taking her to 8, a cap of 8 damage, I think. Oh, sorry, we're actually losing a damage on that top track from on the 4th step there. So that's interesting. Which again caps her at 8, I guess. Okay. And then again, we're getting 2 crits, step 1 and 2, 2 crits and a hit on 3 instead of 4, and then 3 crits on 4 instead of 5 expertise. On defense, we're adding an exposed to basically two results and up. So that's an interesting addition there. And then moving on to Jarkai, we're moving the pin from the last step to the 5th step, adding another damage that caps her at 10. Gets her to 10 instead of 9 potential damage. And again, this is even more significant bump up here. So 1 expertise, crit and a hit, 2 expertise, 2 crits and a hit instead of 4. That's a big jump there. And then on the 3rd expertise, you're getting 2 crits and 2 hits. That's pretty significant for her attack. Moving on to the Chosen One himself, he's also gotten quite the buff here, starting with I'm going to end this, which before had to be doing a second attack into the same character that the initial attack was into, but this one now you can change your stance. So that's some flexibility added there. But then also, it's just a character in this unit may make a melee attack. So yeah, just melee attack. Choose whoever you want, whoever you're engaged with. So they did add. I mean, it's not just an attack; it's melee attack, and that's because he's getting a ranged attack. So which I'll talk about later. Now his identity. It was that when he wounds an enemy primary or secondary, after the effect is resolved, move the struggle token a space toward your momentum. Then, if it was a primary, each Galactic Republic character gets to recover 1. Now, each time a character in this unit wounds an enemy unit, after the effect is resolved, you refresh a force. So that's going to help him get some of his force back because he is a little bit hungry on that side of things. But now you can attack 2 different characters, so you could potentially wound 2 different things. Additionally, at the end of this unit's activation, if it wounded 1 or more secondary or primary units during that activation, each allied Galactic Republic secondary and each allied Galactic Republic supporting character may dash. So, wow, okay. So if on your turn you wound a secondary or primary, everyone except for your primaries is going to get a dash. That's a lot of movement. Okay, but it is only happening once and at the end of his activation. I guess no matter, even if you wound 2. Anyway, if one or more is a primary unit, then you move the struggle token 1 space. So whereas before the struggle token was for a primary or secondary, now the movement is for a primary or secondary. The struggle token is for just a primary. So a bit of a shuffle, quite a shuffle there. It's gotten quite wordy as well, but anyway, definitely gonna have an effect on your board state when Anakin gets his wounds off. Now moving into his stances, so Gemso, that's where he's getting his ranged attack, 6 dice, range 4, but the expertise is pretty solid as well. Crit on 1 and 2, crit and a shove, so that's going to get past steadfast. And that's on 3, and then on 4, crit, hit, and a shove. No buff to either the other expertise, but it's going to be a fairly consistent ranged attack. I mean, you're relying on the expertise probably to get the shove, but 3 damage, just tossing the ranged attack there. That's not bad at all. The then let's look at Shen. Yeah, we're getting a buff to his expertise again. Basically just adding on steps 2 and up. He's getting one of those hits is now a crit. We are getting a shuffle of his combat tree as well. So step 1's the same, but on the top track, we're getting a jump and a damage instead of a heal. We're getting a heal and 2 damage instead of the reposition and 2 damage. And then at the end of his tree, step 5, it's a strain instead of a shove. So if you take the top track, you're only getting 1 shove instead of 2. The bottom track, you still get 3 shoves. Now the jump on step 4 is a reposition. And we've got 1 less damage on step 2, but then that pops back up on step 5. So I guess we're kind of leveling out the track here. So we still got 8 damage on a full tree, but it's just being distributed a little bit differently here. Moving on to Django, we're getting a not so fast rework. So instead of the feels bad potential of being able to do damage when somebody activates, potentially wounding them and ending their turn, now we're getting the grief ability where when a unit is played, chosen to activate from reserve, so chosen to activate, so they haven't technically started their activation, this unit may use this ability. One character in this unit may dash, and that's not restricted to towards, but then they may make a 5 dice attack targeting a character in the unit that was chosen to activate. So I mean, still potential to do pretty decent damage. I don't have his tree pulled up, but so there's still wound potential there, but the thing is, it's before they actually activate, and therefore before you check, or like before you have the opportunity to change the wound to an injured token. So there's still potential to get a wound. It's only on the unit from reserve though, so it should be a little easier to avoid because you'd have to be in range of his dash and attack in order to actually get hit with that. But there's still that potential there, but it doesn't end your activation because you still you're wounded, then your activation starts, then you change the wounded to injured and get to carry on. So hopefully positive for the play experience there. I'm just looking to get paid. That has been, the refresh has been changed from 2 to 1. So there's a slight adjustment there, which also makes sense. Tap that down a little bit. Next we get the Magna Guard, and so this is kind of the first of the nerfs that we'll be seeing. And so we're getting their stamina is going from 10 to 9, and then their attack expertise, instead of being 1 crit on 1, 2 crits on 2, now we're getting 1 crit on 1 and 2, and then on 3 expertise, a crit and a hit. And then on 4, that's where you're getting 2 crits instead of the 3. So a fair adjustment for, I think, for a 3 cost unit, I would say. You still should pretty consistently be reliably getting that 1 shove. Now maybe you're not getting the 2 so much, or not full treeing so much, but they should still be reliably getting shoves through for you. Republic Clone Commandos, they are also getting the bump up from 6 to 7. They have protection, so it's basically 8, but their defensive expertise is getting that block back. Whereas I think a lot of people were a little annoyed that you were losing blocks as you got more expertise. This now you're getting those two still, plus the reposition, instead of losing a block. And nothing else seems to have changed on this one. 212th, same thing. We're getting a bump from 7 to 8 health. And we're also getting Clone Marksman, which gives them Sharpshooter 1. They don't have a way to get a free focus action, but Sharpshooter 1 is nice as a kind of a thematic thing because they are Clone Marksman. And then looks like we are getting, yes, we're getting a bump up to their defense dice, both in melee and range. Same as the 501st, we're getting a bump up in their melee expertise. And then we're also getting a bump in our ranged attacks. So instead of damage on one, we're turning a hit to a crit. And then same thing on 2, that hit's becoming a crit instead of the damage. And on 4, we're getting 2 crits instead of 1 crit and 2 damage. So that's definitely going to help them get through their tree a little further rather than just pinging some damage. Clone Commander Cody, he's getting an adjustment to his tactics. So originally it was an enemy character within range 5 that is contesting an active objective gets an expose, but Cody has been kind of a too slow character, especially when you're trying to do a focus to get his extra dice from Sharpshooter. So now he's choosing an active objective and he gets a jump towards that objective. Then he gets to choose an enemy character within 3 instead of range 5 that's contesting that objective, and that character gets a expose. So wondering if if the jump and range 3 is about equivalent to range 5 from where he starts. So it's not really going to help him get the expose off turn 1 kind of thing, but it's adding some movement to him, so that'll be nice for sure. Then his stance, he's getting an added crit on 1, added hit on 2 to 3 expertise, and an added crit on the 4+. As far as I can tell, everything else is staying the same. So a bit of a buff to his range of expertise, which will hopefully, again, help him to get further down his tree. ARF, so this is kind of an interesting one. They are getting the 7 to 8 stamina change, but their coordinated fire expose, which Republic had been relying on fairly heavily, is now becoming supporting fire dash. And we've seen this ability on Kit Fisto, so I won't talk about it too much, but it's I mean, with the timing of coordinated fire expose, definitely a very powerful ability, and they've removed that from the ARFs and Elite Squad, I guess, which I'll talk about later. But to replace that, they're giving supporting fire, which might combo well actually with Cody, to also give him a little more movement without making him have to do a move action. So it'll be interesting to see where that kind of lands. I know a lot of people are disappointed by losing coordinated fire expose, but they're taking that away from these supports that are in major factions. So, and meanwhile, kind of buffing a lot of other Republic stuff, as most of the stuff we've talked about is Republic. So You win some, you lose some. Next, another win. Probably one of the biggest, most upwardly changed characters is Mace Windu. First off, he's going to 7 squad points from 6. He's getting some ability reworks to Tempered Aggression and Shatterpoint. So Tempered Aggression is now an innate instead of a reactive, so it can be used even if you're using coordinated fire or supporting fire. And when a character in this unit attacks or defends before dice are rolled, this unit may spend 1 to 3 force. If it does, that character adds a die to its roll for each force spent. So now instead of using it to reroll your fails, now you're preemptively using it to add more dice. So, I guess, I don't know, a bit of a side grade there as you're kind of preemptively doing it before seeing the results, but you're also going to be able to potentially get more results instead of just upping your fails. But yeah, we'll see how that one goes. But the major nice thing, I think, is that it's no longer conflicting with all the coordinated fire and supporting fire abilities. Next, the Shatterpoint. So before, it required you to be using the Shatterpoint card on him, and it was, well, it's still stance dependent, I guess. So now when an allied unit, which could include him, is chosen to activate with a Shatterpoint card before the unit activates, resolve an effect based on this unit's active stance. If the unit's active stance is Form 7 Vapad, one character in this unit may dash and make a 5 dice attack. Now, important that it's Vapad, which we'll get to in a second, because basically it will have to be a melee attack. If its active stance is Jedi Master, then that's still the same. You're getting 2 Force Refresh and 3 heals. Now, that distinction, again, is important because in Jedi Master, he's getting a ranged attack, just like Anakin, range 4, 6 dice. This one, not as good at expertise. He's getting a hit on 1, 2 hits on 2 and 3, and then crit hit 10 on 4. But I mean, you're able to get a ranged attack off if you're not in melee. It's the side with good access to shoves. So between shoving someone off, maybe getting the follow-ups, that'll add some ability to him. But on Jedi Master here, we are losing a block for the expertise. Everything else is staying the same, but losing that 1 block result. So I guess maybe with the revamped Tempered Aggression, maybe that's where they don't want his defense spiking too much here. Vapad, we're getting a slight bump up on the expertise, where it's a crit on 1, 2 crits on 2 and 3, 3 crits on 4. Again, defensive expertise is losing a block across the board. So, same thing there. So yeah, 2 ability reworks, gaining a squad point, and range attack, and some attack expertise bumping up. So that's nice for Mace. Next we have Aura Sing. So Payday is now, which we're fairly familiar with. Cost of Force, when you reveal an Aura card, you can use it to add a tag of your choice for the turn. Now we're getting on contract. So at the end of setup, you choose one of your allied primary units and a tag that it has, and this unit gains the chosen tag. So it's free, and you get the tag for the entire game, but your choices are limited to the tags that are on your primaries. So not able to become a battle droid, not able to become a stormtrooper, handmaiden, stuff like that. But you could give her like Galactic Republic, Jedi, even. I don't know if Force user helps much, but you know, things like that, Separatist Alliance, and yeah, any of that, and she gets it for free the entire game. Moving on to her stance card, she's I think the tree itself is remaining the same. Oh no, the on the top track, the climb is becoming a reposition. But then she's getting adding 2 hits on step 1 to the ranged expertise, um, a hit to step for the 2 and 3, and then a damage to step 4 on the expertise. And then we're adding hit for 1 and 2 in melee, and that hit on 3 is becoming a crit. And then defensively, she's getting a dash on step 1, another block on step 3, and that climb again is becoming a reposition. So making her a little more mobile, changing some climbs to repositions, adding the dash there, and we're getting more things out of our expertise. So hopefully allowing her to get further down her tree, just like Cody. Now CAD, no changes on this side of the card, but we're getting a era change. So he's now all 4 eras. So that's going to open up list building a decent amount. Same with the bounty hunters. They were just the 3 eras, but I think the 4th era was added after. So now they are able to be taken in that 4th New Republic era. Hondo is also getting an era change. So 3 eras. So only Fall of the Jedi to Age of Rebellion, not getting the New Republic tags. I don't think we've seen him in any media that takes place in the New Republic era. And that'll be the same for the rest of that box. But the other 2 are getting exit strategy, which allows characters in this unit to climb even when they are engaged. So that will help some of their mobility. Gorm, his tactic is now doesn't have any range to it, so it's not range 4. It's anywhere on the board, but still another allied Weequay unit. And then what did I say here? +1 melee attack die. So going from 5 to 6 for the melee attack dice, but no other changes to his stance card as far as I could see. On the Weequay Pirates, like I said, exit strategy being added. They're going from 8 to 9 health, and then their stance card, they're adding another hit to their ranged attack results, and adding another attack die to each of their attacks as well. Oh, and another block on 3 expertise in defense. Here come the Inquisitors. They've gotten quite the update. Like I said, Swift Retreat, which was on Asajj, it got changed from a reposition when she gets wounded to having advances be repositions instead. So not being locked down by by engagement. More added mobility in her stance card as well. She's getting ranged attack, range for 7 dice. Again, pretty good expertise. Crit all the way through. On 2, we get a dash. On 3, you add another hit. So more dashes. And also on defense, we're getting a dash on 3 added to the expertise. On the tree, we're also adding this 5th step that is a reposition. So if you get 5 steps through, you can choose to go straight to the damage or get a reposition, again adding more mobility to 4th sister here. So that'll be interesting to play around with and see how far she can get on the board. The Grand Inquisitor. His active ability is has no range. Oh yes, that's Secret's Uncovered. So now instead of being an active objective within 5, now any active objective is not safe. So if it's controlled by an opposing player, you may remove the control token. So that means you're not going to want to be leaving any of your objectives uncontested in when you're playing against Grand Inquisitor, because it's 2 force, but you can turn that off and make you have to go back and claim it. Temple Records is also changing, so instead of only being usable when it's a melee attack by a force user, and then you have to flip the stance to get 2 dice for your defense roll. Now you can use it to change your stance during any melee attack, but if the attacker is a force user, then you get the 2 dice. So if you're for some reason kind of stuck in the wrong stance, this will allow you to flip during any melee attack, and but still locking the extra 2 dice to force users. Clearly you're a poor student. It's being opened up a bit to include Galactic Empire, although Galactic Empire characters will get you to be able to refresh 1, heal 1, and then if the wounded unit was a force user, then you'll get to again refresh 1, heal 1. So instead of locking the refreshing to force users, the wounded unit being a force user, now kind of splitting the difference and opening up to when any Galactic Empire character wounds an enemy unit. So adding a lot of flexibility there. Now his stance, he's getting extra defense die and melee for Makashi. Let's see. Expertise is not changing. I don't think anything else is changing, just that 1 extra die. Melee defense on Makashi, then Gemso again, adding another defense die. We're adding 2 ranged attack dice, so that's nice for being able to actually getting something through on that ranged attack. And then we're also adding some dashes or jumps to the ranged attack. So add the dash to step 1. One of those hits is becoming a crit, as well as the hit and adding a dash for 2 and 3. Then instead of crit, hit, it's 2 crits and a jump on step 4 for that thrown lightsaber. So hopefully, this should definitely improve his ability to get something from his ranged attacks in Gemso. 3rd sister, she's going from 8 to 9 health. Her Call to Hunt now no longer costs a force, it's not range restricted, and it is a dash and 5 dice attack instead of choosing one or the other. So quite an upgrade to that ability. Your fear betrays you. Instead of removing conditions to add 2 dice, now when during the modify dice roll step, the attacking character may reroll a number of dice up to the number of active objectives controlled by the opposing player. So if you're behind, she could potentially, or behind on objectives controlled anyway, she can reroll some attack dice, and it's not locked to fail results either. You can reroll any of your attack dice. So if you've got kind of extra expertise happening or something like that, well, it's, I don't know, it's not getting through. But I mean, at that point, I don't know the situation where you're fishing for crits, with like maybe three rerolls. But anyway, it's not restricted to just rerolling the fails. She's getting another 2 defense dice in melee, and that her attack expertise, is also getting a crit instead of a hit on 1 there with the damage. And step 3 is crit hit damage still, but then the next step is on 4 instead of 5, getting 2 crits, 2 damage instead of crit, 2 hits and a damage. Defensive expertise is also getting an improvement. Step 3 instead of 4 is where you get the crit mitigation, and it is crit to fail instead of crit to hit. Luke Skywalker getting an update to his identity. Now, instead of just applying to himself, now the immunity is applying to all Rebel Alliance characters within range 5. So that's a definitely an upgrade and a way for him to help his fellow allies, and so it'll be interesting to see how much that brings him up. He's still kind of got the active ability that's can be a little bit awkward at times with having to already be within 2 of the active objective, but anyway, hopefully the upgrade to his identity will make him a little more impactful on the table. Dart Troopers. So another nerf here. This one, they're going from 8 to 7. They do have protection, so it's going to feel like 8 health. They're losing their crit mitigation on the expertise, defensive expertise, and yes, that's what happened. So 1 less health and losing the crit mitigation. So that was definitely part of their very, very tanky feeling. Like sometimes a lot of times you would attack them and just nothing would get through. Supports, whether it's support or a secondary, even sometimes your primary would just fall flat on that. So that'll definitely change that. Still very good expertise, 1-on-1, 2-on-2, and they've still got a great tree and protection and immunity to pin, not being able to push or pulled. So I think they'll still feel solid, but just not so crazy on defense anymore. Chirpa is getting an update. So mobilize the village. Now, instead of just being within 4, now it's all Ewoks. Still while he's not wounded, but they add 1 to their attack rolls. Sharp stick, that's not changing, but the identity, still while he's not wounded, but when it's not connected to him being wounded now. Okay, so when another allied Ewok unit becomes wounded by an attack after, so yeah, we're again just like Ahsoka, we're getting the restriction of it being an attack that wounds them. But anyway, after the effect is resolved, you roll a die on crit and hit. He gets a reposition and a 5 days attack, fail and expertise. Then he gets the dash and 2 heals. So I guess the only real change here is that he can do it while wounded. So staying in effect there, I guess. Even when he's wounded. I have Bright Tree Elder here. Oh yeah, step 1 is becoming a crit and a damage instead of a hit. And I think that's it. I didn't see any changes at all on the other stance. So mainly the identity and innate abilities getting a little tweak there. Then we have Obi-Wan out of hiding. Fairly major, another Django level rework and nerf. It's 1 force now for Mind Trick, but when an enemy character within 5 targets an allied character with an attack, this unit may use its ability. If the attacking character's unit does not have disarm, it gains disarm. So kind of like coordinated fire expose, where you're doing the expose right before you attack. This time, he's giving out a disarm right before your opponent attacks. Now it is within range 5 of him instead of being instead of the target being within range 3 of him. So that will affect the bubble. It'll be a little more consistent based on just him and his bubble rather than, whoever's attacking even at ranged someone within 3 of him. Now it can't fully turn off an attack, just giving that disarm to lower the effectiveness of the attack that's coming in. Everything else staying the same there. Darth Vader, he's getting some tag restrictions on his identity, so now it's just Republic or Empire that can take advantage of the taking 2 damage to add 3 dice to the attack roll. So just a small tweak there, make him a little less rampant, I guess. So Gideon Hask. I assume that his stamina and durability will remain the same because it's missing here. Defiance will be the death of you is getting a change, which is very welcome. Before it was just Galactic Empire character. Whenever a Galactic Empire character makes an attack as part of a combat action, if the target's within 5 of one or more other Galactic Empire scouts, then it adds a hit to the attack roll. Now it's a lot more in line with Cody's ability. So when a Galactic Empire supporting character makes an attack as part of a combat action, if the target is within 5 of Hask, then the attacking character may change a fail to a hit. So not adding results, but if there is a fail, you can turn it to a hit. The target has to be within 5 of him instead of just 5 of anyone, any other scout. So that will limit the bubble, and it's only for supports now instead of everybody getting the extra hits. ISF as well, they are getting a tweak to their tree, so not to their expertise, but they're losing 2 potential damage on steps 4 and 5, 1 each there, but their reposition moves from 5 to 4, so a slight bump up to mobility, I guess, but a tap down on their damage output potential. Now, the card coming next, but nothing was changed on the on the unit card itself. And like I mentioned with ARFs, the Elite Squad is also losing Coordinated Fire Expose, but they're gaining 2 Supporting Fires. So Supporting Fire Hunker and Supporting Fire Recover. So I don't know if we've seen those before, but yeah, adding 2 options for Supporting Fire, I guess, onto this unit. So if they're in range 5 of a support, both characters in a support unit, that support unit could technically take advantage of both of those supporting fires, one on each attack. They're also getting a their tree is very much like the 2/12 tree, and so their expertise has similarly been improved, giving that hit to crit, replacing the damage that was on the expertise there. Also getting a bump up +1 to their attack dice, ranged or melee, and melee, I guess. Then we have 3PO and R2, another major update. So going from 4 points to 3, I think pretty much every ability is changed in some way. Brilliant Oration now does not cost a force. It's still choosing an allied Ewok supporting character within 4. Chosen character may get 2 heals, hunker, or make a 5-day attack, but they also have the option to dash, and then C3PO and R2 also get those same options. So adding some potential mobility, healing, stuff like that. Probably not the attack, but anyway, that option's there. And then let's see, R2, not sure that's such a good idea. I think this one's coming in line with the Lando and R2 one, where it's someone activating within 4 instead of 5, but they just remove a condition instead of being able to suffer a damage for each condition they remove. So it's only 1 condition, but they don't have to take a damage instead. Divine Influence, it's now not restricted to like scouts or warriors. Now each of them is just Ewoks in general, and they're able to climb even when they're engaged for the first part with scale. It's also range 5 instead of 4, and then a steadfast bubble of range 5 instead of 4 again, and Ewoks instead of Ewok warriors. The last ability, I guess, is unchanged. The attack tree was actually touched here as well. We're losing that active ability on step 3, getting a disarm. Oh, get the disarm there, and then pin on 4. So the disarm on 4. R2's Angry Trilling was not changed. And then we get Low Gray. So his innate ability, or his identity, I guess. Each time an allied Ewok character wounds an enemy unit, roll an attack die. So that part is the same. And let's see. Each time an allied Ewok unit wounds an enemy unit, after the effect is resolved, roll an attack die on crit or hit, special force on a fail, or expertise. Each character in the attacking and that allied unit may dash. So I think that's I think that's just a rewording and not an actual change to the ability. Oh yeah, it's protective ward that got a change here. So it's also losing its range 4 bubble. Now it's just um, any Ewoks add a die to their defense rolls while Logray is not wounded. And then we have pawns, and his tactic is being adjusted so that he can choose himself to get the dash. That helps with his own ability, own mobility. Incoming is remaining unchanged, but then forward scout used to be that the basically the support him and his clone supports get to deploy within range 2. Now he deploys within range 2 of the primary, and the clone supports deploy within range 1 of him instead of the primary unit. And I saw somebody measuring this out. This does allow him to help cover all of your back points in Never Tell Me the Odds. Not sure if people have tried it on First Contact, but this definitely helps on Never Tell Me the Odds. And then I have noted here, they mentioned in the article the 104th, but then they seem to be missing on the document. So we'll see if that gets added. They already have 8 health, so I don't expect them to go from 8 to 9. But so that's where I brought up their stance card, because maybe something's getting changed there. They don't have great ranged expertise. Well, yeah, ranged and melee. Yeah, their attack expertise isn't great, and that's something that changed on a lot of those other clone supports. So maybe something gets adjusted there. They've got decent access to shoves. They're maybe a little low on the attack dice as well. So I guess it remains to be seen. But I'm guessing if they're getting adjusted that it's going to be on their stance card somewhere. But anyway, hopefully this was a useful and somewhat concise rundown of the updates. This was, there's 51 pages worth of stuff being changed, so it's quite a lot, mostly small things, but I guess near the end here there was some more significant reworks to things. I would say most significantly C-3PO and R2 and Mace. They're both the ones that changed their points that they either bring or cost, and as well as reworks to at least half of their abilities. So coming from this, there's kind of too many things to try, and so let me know in the comments what your strategy is going to be in trying these units. I'm tempted to kind of go back and say, okay, basically look at the squad packs and say, okay, I'm going to try this squad pack and this squad pack, and just kind of reevaluate how those boxes look now. Maybe even go back to when the game just released. There was the core box, Obi-Wan, and Count Dooku boxes. So I was kind of doing round robins of Republic versus Separatist versus Mandos, and with the significant changes to the core box, primaries, and Republic. A lot of three of those Republic clone units from Core and Obi-Wan, as well as Anakin getting major changes. So I'm tempted to approach it that way, and kind of as if it was a new box, just try the boxes as is and reevaluate from there. But if you're more interested in kind of taking what was already previously optimized and maybe swapping out a character or two, then let me know. And if you get to try it out, then let me know how that goes as well. I have a giveaway going on my Patreon as a kind of a kickoff. I've got a set of the Year 1 GT foils, and in order to get in on that, you can become a paid member of my Patreon, and I've updated kind of the levels a little bit since I initially announced that, and part of that, I think in the middle and highest tiers, so the TV shows and books and comics levels, are where you can make suggestions as to what I play in my future battle reports. So especially with the unit updates, then you can get in your preferences of what you would like to see first for my battle reports. So check that out. Also, I could say that this channel is sponsored by Dynamic Designs, which is my Etsy. I've got some 3D printing designs, majorly the different shaped platforms as well as gantries, in order to help change up the layouts and kick things away from the 90-degree angles. So check that out as well. And you can subscribe here for more. Look out for my posts here and different polls I put up. And I'll see you next time.